Alright, we just finished our first flight on the Contra Allure, and Bryan wants to give some impressions of what he thought about the aircraft with the Contra unit in it.
Well, my first thoughts are I'm kind of hard-headed, and I have my own way of thinking through things, and I didn't think there was anything out there that can compare electric-wise to the feel of a glow plane, but I think the Contra does it. It really has a nice power band all the way through the stick. We flew it with absolutely no throttle curve and no braking, and I got to say I was really impressed with it. The airplane flew identical to my YS-175 glow version in every possible way. If I didn't know any better, I thought I was flying the glow plane, which really impressed me. It was my goal for the design to do it that way. There's a lot of unknowns when you start doing things this way, because of course I had never flown the Contra that much in my designs, so I had really nothing to compare it to other than my knowledge of designing airplanes for so many years, and already knowing what the problem with all the airplanes flying with the Contra currently had nothing to do with the unit. It had to do with the setup and the design of the airplane. I think right out of the box, basically it came with 983 gears. I left them in there, and we're running the newest props. Because the airplane is so large, I knew the bigger 22-inch props would really be a drag on this airplane. It's so big and flies so slow, but the prop we got on the front is a 20.5 by 20.5, and the rear is a 20 by 22.5. It was so quiet in the air, it really impressed me. There's a lot of Contras out there, I've heard them, and they really have a droning sound. You couldn't hear it. It really impressed me. I had instant power and instant braking, just like I was flying the glow plane, with no throttle. I guess you would say no curve at all set up. When I flew this thing with the new motor in it, man, it really was struggling because there was no throttle curve in it, and the first half of the stick was dead. But this thing flew just like a glow plane, and I'm very impressed with that. And my hat's off to Brenner and his team for designing an awesome unit, and I think it'd be a really viable option. And I've changed my mind about offering a special glow. I had decided that I was not going to offer a specific Contra model, but I've changed my mind. It's worth the effort. We're going to make a plug specifically for electric and Contra, and I'm very impressed with it. I'm very excited with it. It has no roll coupling, no pitch coupling. It goes straight up. It's going to need about a 2% downline mix, like all airplanes do with the current setups we fly. No yaw instability whatsoever. It flew just like my glow airplane. And that really impressed me. It has really good rudder authority and rudder power, which means any place you want to put the rudder for the authority, the airplane has no ill effect, just like the glow plane. It flew exactly like my glow model. And I really wish Brett was here to put the test flights on it, and we could have had a couple of guys give impressions, but oh man.
Where do you have the CG with the Contra unit?
The CG is a little further forward with the Contra unit than the glow model is, but in all actuality, it's where I want to run it with the glow model. I just can't get it there because this being a prototype model, I can't get the CG further forward without doing some modifications, and I just haven't had time to do it. But with the Contra model, we have 3 extra ounces on the front of the airplane. Plus, we use the heaviest packs you had. I think, what are these packs, Scott?
Those are actually 1290s.
1290s. Now, I think we figured out with the 1290 pack, we was at 4960.
With the
weight.
With the 1290s, we should be right at 5,000.
Right at 5,000. Okay.
And those are super heavy packs. So
yeah.
The average pack, if you say runs 1150 to 1200, you'll be in the low 4900s.
Yeah, now this is a 5,000 pack, but the guys that are going to be running 5600 milliamp packs, which I don't know enough about the batteries and the Contra and how many milliamp draws and everything we're going to need to run this thing. I'm going to let Dave Lockhart take care of that for me. Dave's going to be flying this airplane, so he's going to do all that analytics. But for me not knowing anything about the setup, basically going on my gut feeling with the smaller blades because the airplane has so much drag, it was perfect right out of the box. Now we haven't checked yet to see what the milli-amp draw was on these packs. I flew 7.5 minutes, maybe 7 minutes, 45 seconds. Normally just like I fly pattern. I pretty much flew through the first P pattern. We also, I think, what size battery do you have for the onboard pack?
It's an 800 milliamp 2S LiPo.
And how much does that thing weigh?
54 grams.
54 grams. We have a regulated switch, and I think it weighs an ounce. I'm not sure.
Yeah, it's right at an ounce with the switch and the regulator.
Of course, we've got BLS servos in the wings, and a BLS 173s in the stabilizer, and a BLS 155, I believe, on the rudder. Mike Mueller was kind and overnighted me some taller gear. The gear that right now we're using with the stock airplanes I had about a half inch of clearance with the 22-inch props, and I'm having some new gear made, but these F3A gear that I got from Mike Mueller work perfect. I got all the clearance in the world we need, and they're only 50 grams, so they were the exact same weight as the one that came off of the model from the factory. So overall, I'm very pleased with it, and I think it's a viable option for the glow. And you know, I'm a big glow man. You know, I'm YS blood through and through, but I have to say, I was really impressed. I'm very impressed with it.
Did you notice any difference, or talk to us a little bit about the transition from your downline verticals to your horizontals between the two airplanes, if they're the same or different, or what you noticed?
I couldn't, if I wouldn't have known better, I'd have thought I was flying my glow model. The braking of the Contra with absolutely no brake setup on it. Now we haven't set up a brake or throttle curve, bear in mind. It felt there was no need whatsoever the airplane didn't zoom out of the bottom of the maneuver. It felt just like a glow model. It really did. It felt like a glow model in yaw. It felt like a glow model in roll. It had absolutely no difference. The power curve was identical. And you know, with the flexibility of the gears and different props and modifications, there's a lot more to be tuned up front that you could do with that. And the guys that are really in depth, like Dave, with the, you know, and Bryan from Ireland, who really spent a lot of time with these units, it's gonna make a big difference for those guys. Really impressed with it. There was no roll coupling or pitch coupling, like I said. It flew absolutely identical, and I took pains this morning. We sat down, I set the models up side by side. They're identical in every possible way that I can measure it. There's no difference between the two models. I even took the right thrust out of this model. It's to 0 from a 1/4 degree of right. Just to take that aspect out of the test. I could put that model down and pick that model up and compete side by side, and it would feel like I was flying the same model, which really impresses me. It really does. Rudder looping power was
amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible. So we hope to get some more videos here once I get a few more flights on the airplane, and I want to check the milli-amp draw and go through this thing and make sure all the bolts are tight. And you know, it's got a weird noise. I don't know if it's supposed to sound like this, but maybe it ain't weird. I don't know. I don't know anything about it to know. So we're gonna pull it down and check it out real good. I'm running a mount firewall that I made myself with bud isolators front and rear, and just a rear standoff in the back. But you almost could not hear this airplane in the air. You know, with the difference in the prop. Lockhart told me to run the props this away, and I did. And man, I got to say, it's pretty impressive. I hate to sound like I'm over the top with it, but I wasn't shocked that the airplane performed as well as it did. I was shocked that the Contra performed as well as it did. I could almost be persuaded.